What's up, everybody? Back with another video of my Year in Wrestling series of videos. This is the Year in Wrestling 1999 Part 2. I'm going to start it off talking about WCW Uncensored 99. Took place from Louisville, Kentucky on March 14th, 99. First match. I believe is a first match. If I'm wrong, well, then I'm wrong. Cruiserweight champion Billy Kidman defeated former ECW Tag Team Champion and Television Champion, former ECW Heavyweight Champion Mikey Whipwreck. Why on earth did WCW think that they needed to steal Mikey Whipwreck away from ECW? I don't know. I don't have the answer for that. I'll never know why WCW wanted to sign Mikey Whipwreck from ECW and basically just take him from ECW. Mikey Whipwreck was a decent wrestler. Not the best, not the worst. He was decent. But I don't know why WCW offered him a big contract. I'm sure they paid him a lot of money. Anyways, he wasn't around long at all. I believe he's around just a couple months in 1999, and WCW stopped using him for some reason, or Mikey Whipwreck maybe got injured. So that's why they stopped using him. Anyways, Mikey Whipwreck jumps from ECW to WCW in 99, and I don't blame him. I'm sure he made a lot of money that he wasn't making in ECW. But Billy Kidman just defeated Mikey Whipwreck. So welcome to WCW, Mikey Whipwreck. You're going to just job to WCW guys. And that's basically all he ever did in WCW, was job to other WCW talents. Up next, Stevie Ray defeated Vincent in a Harlem Street fight to win control of the NWO Black and White after Horace Hogan interfered. This match was stupid. It was garbage. And why was Stevie Ray and Vincent, why were they fighting over the rights to the NWO Black and White? That's just ridiculous that they were fighting over the control of the white and black of the NWO. Totally stupid and pointless, and nobody cared. Next, Kevin Nash defeated Rey Mysterio Jr. It was an entertaining match, but it could have went a little bit longer. Jerry Flynn. For some reason, Jerry Flynn was on a WCW pay-per-view. I don't know why. It shouldn't have been on pay-per-view. Jerry Flynn defeated Ernest Miller and Sonny Ono in a handicap match, and nobody cared. In a hardcore match, a three-way dance, triple threat hardcore match. Basically, this match was a total ripoff of ECW, and it had 3 former ECW guys in it, and 3 former ECW World Heavyweight Champions in it. It was Raven versus Hack. Who was Hack? He was the Sandman from ECW. And another thing, I don't understand why WCW brought in the Sandman and wanted him from WCW. I'll never understand that. I'll never have an answer for that. I don't know why it happened, but good for the Sandman. I'm sure he made a lot of money his short time in WCW. WCW was stupid enough to pay the Sandman, and Mikey Whipwreck, they were stupid enough to get them. I'm pretty sure WCW just signed Mikey Whipwreck and the Sandman just to take them away from ECW and make ECW suffer as a company and possibly try to put them out of business by taking all their talent, because they took a lot of talent. And Eric Bischoff probably would have loved to put ECW out of business and take their world title and throw it down on WCW Nitro in 2000. You had Mike Awesome jump from ECW to WCW, and he was going to bring the ECW world title with him, probably throw it in the trash like Medusa did to the WWF women's title. Mike Awesome and Eric Bischoff I'm sure, wanted him to bring the ECW World title on the Nitro, but ECW sued WCW, so they couldn't do that and bring their world title on Nitro. Anyways, Hack, that's an awful name for a wrestler, to call him Hack. I don't know if that's the same man's real name. I doubt it, but it was Hack versus Raven versus Bam Bam Bigelow in a hardcore match, and it was a decent hardcore match. It was pretty entertaining, I thought. Anyways, Raven, who the hell won? Hack, the Sandman, defeated Bam Bam and Raven. And as I said, I was entertained by it. But it was an obvious ECW ripoff. Up next, Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko defeated World Tag Team Champions Kurt Hennig and Barry Windham in a lumberjack match to win the World Tag Team titles. Perry Saturn defeated Chris Jericho in a dog collar match. This was also a pointless gimmick match because it was an uncensored pay-per-view, so you had a lot of gimmick matches. Well, Jericho versus Saturn dog collar match, it was stupid. It made no sense to put them in a dog collar match. And I know they were feuding at the time because Perry Saturn had to wear the dress after Jericho beat him, but it was still pointless to put them in a dog collar match. So dog collar matches are dangerous as hell. They pull at your neck and somebody could get injured, and that's why they aren't even put on anymore in wrestling. You never see dog collar matches anymore because they're probably too damn dangerous. Up next, Booker T defeated TV champion Scott Steiner. I think it was a non-title match, or maybe it was for the TV title, so Booker T wins a TV title. The main event was Ric Flair challenging Hollywood Hulk Hogan for the WCW World Championship inside a steel cage with barbed wire. WCW is telling us there was barbed wire at the top of the cage, around the entire cage. Well, it looked like barbed wire, but it was obviously is fake barbed wire because WCW used to use fake barbed wire. They used it when the Sandman would come out, or in hardcore matches, the Sandman would have himself wrapped in barbed wire. Well, that was fake because WCW used fake barbed wire. It looked like barbed wire, but it's probably rubber. Anyways, a barbed wire on top of the cage is fake. And somebody cut it down, either Hogan or Flair cut the barbed wire down, and it fell down into the ring, some of it, and one of them used it on each other. So I think both Hogan and Flair bled in this cage match. It was a decent cage match, and it was entertaining, but there was no real barbed wire used. Anyways, David Flair comes out, tries to help Hollywood Hogan. Then Arn Anderson comes out, I believe, takes out David Flair, throws in a crowbar. Arn Anderson throws a crowbar in the cage. Ric Flair gets it, hits Hogan with it, pins him 1, 2, 3. Ric Flair becomes, I believe, a 13 or 14-time world champion, maybe 15-time world champion. So Ric Flair wins a WCW World Championship. It's a damn shame he didn't hold on to it long because a month later WCW had him drop the world title already to DDP at Spring Stampede. So Ric Flair wins the world title, uncensored, 99. If I would grade it, I'd give it a C. A C. Anyways, now I'm going to talk about ECW Living Dangerously 99, which took place on March 21st, 99, from Asbury Park, New Jersey. Before I talk about it, I'll just share this ticket that I have. Old ticket from 1999, March 7th, 1999, WWF house show came to town, and I went to it. Here it is. I don't know if you can see the year on it, but it says 99. right there, March 7th, 1999, is when I went to WWF. My first live event of 1999 was March 7th, right here, World Wrestling Federation house show. It was a pretty damn entertaining house show. It was sold out because the Attitude Era, basically, they were having and getting a lot of sellouts at their house shows and Raws and pay-per-views. They were always selling out every arena because the Attitude Era, millions and millions of people would watch Raw, so wrestling was definitely at a high. Not saying everything was great that happened in the Attitude Era. I'm just saying wrestling was at basically an all-time high in people watching it and going to live events. So it was a sold-out house show, and Stone Cold Steve Austin took on The Rock for the WWF Championship. This was, I think, 3 weeks before WrestleMania 15 was his house show. So that was damn entertaining, seeing Stone Cold versus The Rock at a house show. That was great. I don't remember. I think Rikishi was on it. Rikishi was also at this house show. I can't remember who else. Al Snow was at it against Hardcore Holly in a hardcore match. And I can't remember who else was on the house show. But the main event was Stone Cold versus The Rock for the WWF Championship. Obviously, it did not change hands because WrestleMania 15 was coming up, and WWF World titles do not ever, hardly ever change hands at house shows. So there's a ticket to prove it. March 7th, 99, I was there. The ticket was a $17 ticket. So I was up pretty high, but I didn't care because I was there and I could see good, so I was happy. Right after March 7th, I ordered my first ever ECW pay-per-view, which was Living Dangerously 99. Now we'll get to the matches. First match on the pay-per-view was Super Crazy in his great rivalry again against Tajiri. Super Crazy against Tajiri again. Super Crazy defeats Tajiri, this time at Living Dangerously. I believe Tajiri defeated him at Guilty as Charged. Up next, Balls Mahoney defeated Steve Corino. And Steve Corino, before the match, cut a pretty funny promo and said he didn't need steroids to look good. And Steve Corino was really scrawny. He looked really scrawny at the time, really skinny. He had basically no muscles, so whatever. But I enjoyed Steve Corino much more in the year 2000 when he got more hardcore and started bleeding a lot. Anyways, Balls Mahoney bashes Steve Corino's head in with a steel chair and then pins him 1, 2, 3. Balls Mahoney wins. Up next, Little Guido from the FBI. Little Guido started, he broke away from the FBI and became a single star. So Little Guido defeated, I believe this guy is from Mexico or somewhere. He was a luchador, it looked like. Little Guido defeated Acafaz del Norte. Could barely say the guy's name. Up next, television champion Rob Van Dam defended the TV title and defeated Jerry Lynn. And this match was fucking awesome. Definitely one of the matches of the year for 1999, in my opinion. In RVD versus Jerry Lynn in 99, they had a series of matches on television, on TNN, on pay-per-views. I mean, I think it was four or five matches that were on TV that I actually have recorded. Anyways, 4 or 5 matches took place between RVD and Jerry Lynn in 99, and every single one of them was great and epic. I mean, they had tremendous chemistry in the ring, did RVD and Jerry Lynn. They clicked in the ring, and it was great to watch. It was great matches. So, Rob Van Dam, the time limit runs out. I believe, I don't know if it was a 20-minute time limit or what, or a 30-minute time limit, because it was for the TV title. So they had a TV time on the pay-per-view. So the time limit runs out, and the referee was gonna, I guess, the referee said later in the pay-per-view, in an interview, the referee was gonna award the TV title to Jerry Lynn. For some reason, I don't know why, the ref would give the TV title to Jerry Lynn, because the time limit ran out, so RVD should have retained, but in ECW they didn't think so. So the ref was going to award the title to Jerry Lynn. And then the crowd started chanting 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes. So Jerry Lynn agreed and gave Rob Van Dam, agreed to 5 more minutes. So 5 more minutes was added to the match. And then RVD hits a 5-star frog splash and wins and retains the ECW TV title. And the referee's decision, when he was interviewed later, claiming he was going to give Jerry Lynn the TV title, that made no sense. And RVD even did an interview later in the pay-per-view and claimed that the ref was never going to give the title to Jerry Lynn because that made no sense. And even the guy interviewing Rob Van Dam, I believe his name was Steven DeAngelis, or I think that was his name, the interviewer, he even shook his head like he couldn't believe it when he heard the ref was going to give Jerry Lynn the TV title. When the time they ran out, the announcer interviewing Rob Van Dam shook his head like, what the fuck was the referee talking about? You don't award a title to the other guy that's not the champion. You don't give him the title just because the time limit ran out. I didn't understand that, and why the referee would think he could do that. Whatever. RVD versus Jerry Lynn, it was a pleasure to watch their matches. It was an honor, and it was awesome. And hell of a pay-per-view. I'm really glad I ordered Living Dangerously, because when I saw that RVD versus Jerry Lynn match, I was hooked, and I became a big ECW fan from seeing their matches. Up next was not a great wrestling match. It wasn't for a title. It was basically going to be a street fight, and somebody was going to get their fucking ass kicked. New Jack defeated his former partner from the Gangsters, Mustafa. New Jack absolutely destroyed Mustafa, put duct tape around his body, duct taped him to a table on the floor in the crowd. Then New Jack goes up to the balcony, dives off at least a 25-foot balcony, 30 feet up, jumps off it, through the table, through Mustafa, basically almost killing the guy and breaking him in half. And I'm sure New Jack got injured also on a fucking 25-foot dive through the table. New Jack, I'm sure, got injured also. His legs, I'm sure, took a hell of a beating when he landed and went through that table. So New Jack defeats Mustafa. That was a fun match to watch. Up next, Spike Dudley and Nova defeated the team of the Dudley Boys. And then the Dudleys, I believe, beat the dog shit out of them. Beat the crap out of Nova and Spike Dudley. Then the Dudleys got on the mic, and Devon and Bubba Ray says there's nobody left for us to beat in ECW, that they've beaten everybody and there's nobody left. And then Bubba and the Dudleys call out anybody that wants to fight them to get their fucking ass out here. Or I don't remember the profanity that Bubba Ray or Devon used, but they swore and said get the fuck out here to anybody that wants to challenge us and think that they can beat the Dudley Boys. So then Sid makes an appearance. Sid comes out, gets up in Bubba Ray's face, and then Bubba Ray swears at Sid some more on the mic and rips him apart on the mic. And then Sid starts getting beat down by the Dudleys, and then he makes a comeback. Choke slams the Dudleys. I believe he powerbombed Devon or somebody. And then Spike Dudley gets back up on his feet because he was still at ringside. Laid out, he gets up on his feet, puts his head up against Sid's shoulder and starts going like this, waving, because Spike Dudley, his character is fucking out of his head. Why do you think he was called Little Spike Dudley? there's a LSD reference. Little Spike Dudley equals LSD. So his character was like fucking drugged out of his head. Insane. Whatever. Or he acted like he didn't know where the fuck he was. Anyways, Sid didn't like Spike putting his head on his shoulder. So Sid grabs Spike, power bombs him off the stage through a table to the floor. And then Sid gets up on the rope, celebrates, and gets a huge reaction from the ECW fans. Up next was Shane Douglas and Tommy Dreamer defeating the team of Justin Incredible and Lance Storm. It was a pretty good tag match. And Francine got involved. She brought a ladder to the ring. I believe Jazz was at ringside with Justin Incredible and Jason. And who else? Jackal from WWF. Jackal came into ECW. This was his first pay-per-view, but they called him Cyrus. So his name was Cyrus in ECW, but he was Jackal from the WWF. And after ECW, and after he was Cyrus, he was in TNA for a little bit. His name is Don. I can't remember his last name, but his first name is Don something. I wish I knew his name. I know his name. I just can't remember it. It was Don. I don't remember. Whatever. Don Callis. Don Callis. Later, I think that's his real name, is Don Callis. Later, he would work for TNA for a little while. And he'd return at ECW's Hardcore Homecoming show in the ECW arena before ECW One Night Stand in 2005. So Don Callis, that was his name. He was Cyrus. He was also Jackal. So he comes into ECW and he acts like he's going to help Francine after I think somebody attacked Francine, Justin Incredible or somebody attacked her. She's laid on her back and she had a short mini skirt on, so her thong was showing, I guess, because back in '99 every single diva and woman in wrestling basically wore a thong. Except for in WCW. You didn't see any females in thongs. Because they probably weren't allowed to show their female talents in thongs. Because they had standards and practices in WCW. Anyways, so Don Callis Cyrus covers Francine with a jacket over her skirt. His leather jacket he puts over her skirt. So no one could see her panties, I guess. And then the fucking guy goes like this. Drops down and headbutts Francine right in the vagina. I didn't get that. That made no sense to me. Why would you cover with a jacket and then headbutt her right in the vagina? Whatever. That made no sense, but it was ECW. They did shit like that. I'm not saying it was bad to do it, but it made no sense to do it. Anyways, you can never do that in 2015. Another guy could not headbutt on a lady's private area. In 2015, you just could never do that in wrestling ever again. Anyways, so Cyrus debuts, headbutts Francine in the vagina. I could use the other word, the P word, P-U-S-S, but I'm not gonna. So then basically Cyrus, Lance Storm, Justin Incredible, Jazz, and Jason, the sexiest man on earth, all leave after Francine is attacked. Up next was the main event of Living Dangerously, was title for title, FTW title that Sabu had, that Taz used to have, and Taz created the FTW belt. And FTW stands for Fuck the World, if you didn't know. Anyways, ECW World Heavyweight Champion versus Sabu, FTW Heavyweight Champion. Taz defeats Sabu to retain the ECW Championship. This was a very good match. I enjoyed it. And after the match, Taz got on the microphone and said, Sabu, I respect you. Shake my hand. You're a hell of a competitor. Something like that. Shake my hand. And some fan yelled something out at Taz, and he said on the mic, "Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, I got the mic," or something like that. So then Sabu shakes Taz's hand. And then the pay-per-view Living Dangerously ends. It was a good main event, and RVD and Jerry Lynn was very good also. And I also enjoyed Tommy Dreamer and Shane Douglas in their tag match against the Impact Players. So if I'll grade Living Dangerously, I'll give it a B+. I enjoyed it. And it's one of the a very good ECW pay-per-view was Living Dangerously 99. It was damn good pay-per-view that they put on. Now I'm going to talk about WrestleMania 15. I believe I'll talk about it next. Find this goddamn piece of paper I had written down. I don't know where the hell that piece of paper went. Whatever. Here it is. Talk about WrestleMania, and then WrestleMania and then Backlash 99. WrestleMania took place on March 28th, 99 from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. First match was Hardcore Holly, Bob Holly defeating Al Snow in a hardcore match for the Hardcore Championship in a triple threat match. Hardcore Holly versus Al Snow versus Billy Gunn. So, and as I said, Hardcore Holly wins and wins a Hardcore Championship after he pinned Al Snow. World Tag Team Championships on the line. Owen Hart and Jeff Jarrett. I always thought they were a pretty damn good team. Owen and Jeff, I thought they worked well together. But Owen Hart, he had many tag team partners in WWF. And basically, they were always a good team because Owen Hart was on it and the guy was a fantastic A-plus player and great worker. I mean, Owen Hart was, him and Yokozuna together were great. Him and Jim Neidhart were pretty damn good. Him and Coco Beware were, or I think Coco Beware and Owen Hart were a team. They were pretty good. Owen Hart and Davey Boy Smith, former tag champions, they were great. And then Owen Hart and Jeff Jarrett in 99 before he passed away, they were great. So they defeat the team of D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry. And Mark Henry and D'Lo were with their manager, Ivory. Ivory was a new diva. I think she debuted at WrestleMania 15. And Mark Henry and D'Lo won a tag team battle royal before WrestleMania 15 on Sunday Night Heat to get a tag title shot. And I think the Public Enemy was also in that tag team battle royal on Sunday Night Heat. The Acolytes were in it. APA, I think the Hardys. I don't know who else. Probably Edge and Christian. The Dudleys weren't in WWF yet at WrestleMania 15. Anyways, Public Enemy was in there. They were recently signed by the WWF in March. And I don't think any of the talent backstage wanted Public Enemy there. Specifically, JBL and that Ron Simmons, the Acolytes, had a match with them. And they beat the crap out of them. I guess to try to teach them a lesson for some reason, like the Public Enemy didn't pay their dues or something, because they did pay their dues in ECW and WCW before they got to the WWF. So the WWF signing the Public Enemy was complete crap, and they shouldn't have treated them like they did. That was wrong. And the Public Enemy is gone very quick. Their run in the WWF lasted only about a month. Back to WrestleMania. Val Venus defeated Intercontinental Champion Ken Shamrock, winning for the title. What the hell am I talking about? That was at St. Valentine's Day Massacre. WrestleMania was a fatal four-way for the Intercontinental title. Some jerk-off fucking neighbor, this woman next to me, if you could hear her just screaming, I apologize. She's a fucking loud ass bitch. And she's annoying as hell. And I wish she'd shut the fuck up. So if you heard her screaming, I'm sorry. She's an annoying bitch. And I can't do anything about it. I'm not gonna yell at the bitch. Because yelling at someone, yelling at your neighbors, that would just start a fucking war. Anyways, the bitch is fucking lazy and doesn't watch her kids, and she has like 6 kids. Fucking people with 6 kids and she doesn't watch them. She's not a good mother. She doesn't watch her kids. People like that should fucking get abortions, in my opinion. Because 6 kids is way too many fucking kids, and she doesn't even have a boyfriend or a husband to help her watch those goddamn kids. But who cares? This isn't about my fucking stupid ass neighbors. Up next was Butterbean against Bart Gunn in the Brawl for All match. I don't know what the hell they wanted a Brawl for All match at WrestleMania 15 for, just because Bart Gunn won the Brawl for All tournament in '98 on Raw. Whatever. He was facing Butterbean, a tough guy. Excuse me, I had to belch. Anyways, Butterbean, a tough man. He could box, and I don't know why they put Bart Gunn in there. They basically put Bart Gunn in there, and he was doomed from the beginning. The bell rang. He was doomed to not succeed and not even get a punch in. He got his ass knocked the fuck out. So Bart Gunn gets knocked the fuck out, as I said, by Butterbean. Mankind then defeated the Big Show by disqualification. So then Mankind would become the special guest referee for the main event, Stone Cold versus The Rock, because he defeated the Big Show. And the Big Show screwed up by getting himself disqualified. He screwed up. Mr. McMahon came down the ringside, got it in the Big Show's face, slapped him in the face and yelled at him, "You screwed up." And then the Big Show grabs Mr. McMahon by the throat, picks him up like he's going to choke slam him, but then he puts him down, back on his feet, and decides not to choke slam Vince. Because Big Show did screw up by getting disqualified, when he could have been the ref to help The Rock retain the title later. In a 4-way match for the Intercontinental title, Road Dogg Jesse James defeated Goldust, Ken Shamrock, and Val Venus in a 4 corners elimination match. So Road Dogg is still Intercontinental Champion, and he won that title on a Raw before WrestleMania. He won the Intercontinental title and beat Val Venus, did the Road Dogg, so he became the new Intercontinental Champ. Up next, Triple H defeated Kane by disqualification when Chyna interfered. And later on, Triple H would come back out to the ring during X-Pac and Shane McMahon and turn heel in Pedigree X-Pac. Up next, Sable, Women's Champion. Sable defeated Tori to retain the women's title after Nicole Bass interfered. And I don't know why in the hell the WWF decided to hire Nicole Bass. I understand she had a frightening look to her. She was a bodybuilder, so she was built, and she looked like a guy. She was built, she was strong, she was tall like a guy. Anyways, I don't know why they decided to hire her and take her from ECW. And Nicole Bass in the WWF, her run lasted just about as short as a Public Enemy's run did in the WWF, about 1 or 2 months. And then she was gone. European Champion Shane McMahon. I believe this was his wrestling pay-per-view debut in the WWF. Shane McMahon defeated X-Pac after Triple H interfered. And Shane and X-Pac worked really well together, and I thought they put on a good match. Now this was absolute garbage and shouldn't have been on WrestleMania. You have a Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania. I understand why they did that, to try to get more people probably to buy WrestleMania on pay-per-view. to buy the pay-per-view to see a Hell in a Cell match. Well, it was absolute crap, and it was a god-awful match between The Undertaker and the Big Boss Man. The Undertaker defeated the Big Boss Man, and then the finish was he hung him. Edge and Christian, and I think Gangrel came down from the ceiling onto the roof of the Hell in a Cell. They came down like Sting used to come down from the top of the arenas. Anyways, you have the finish. They bring a noose down in the middle of the ring through the Hell in a Cell. And then the Undertaker puts a noose around the Big Boss Man's neck, and the cage raises up, and Big Boss Man is hanging there, hanging from the goddamn noose above the ring. The guy could have died. The guy could have actually been killed on live pay-per-view. He could have actually been murdered by accident. I don't know, with the noose, he was holding his neck like this, so he probably wasn't getting choked at all, but that shit, to do that, to tell the Big Boss Man to do that, put a noose around his neck. That shit is too dangerous to do shit like that in pro wrestling. That crossed the line. That was just absolutely ridiculous and stupid and pointless and idiotic for the WWF to tell the Big Boss Man, can you do this? And, well, he agreed, obviously. He agreed because he was probably afraid he'd lose his job if he didn't agree. So, obviously, he needed a job to pay for him and his family, to make a living for himself. But whoever came up with that finish, putting a noose around the Big Boss Man's neck, whoever came up with that, that's what I think of you. You are absolute scum, and you're an idiot. Because an accident could have happened and the Big Boss Man could have actually died on live pay-per-view. But then again, it was the Attitude Era. So Vince Russo probably wouldn't have gave a fuck if he died on live pay-per-view because it was the Attitude Era. Well, that shit crossed the line, and that was just stupid. I was okay with the Hell in a Cell match. They should have just done a regular finish. Had the Undertaker, Tombstone, Big Boss Man, 1, 2, 3, he would win the Hell in a Cell. But no, they had to come up with that stupid-ass finish. Like, Big Boss Man was a fucking criminal going to get the death penalty, putting a noose around his neck. It was pointless. And that fucking hanging people with nooses, that has no business in pro wrestling ever. Just, it makes no sense, and it's stupid as hell. I could see someone getting hung with a noose I was watching a fucking horror movie and a bad person was getting hung by a noose by someone else. Fine, I could accept that because it's a horror movie. But I don't want to see that shit in wrestling. Up next was after the Hell in a Cell match. And the Hell in a Cell match was okay. Boss Man and Taker did not work well together. In the Hell in a Cell, for some reason, it just did not work out. The match was bad. But the finish, if they didn't hang him with the noose, it wouldn't have been that bad of a Hell in a Cell match. But just Taker and Big Boss Man did not work well together. Next was the main event. Stone Cold Steve Austin defeating WWF Champion The Rock to win the WWF Championship. Back-to-back WrestleManias, Stone Cold would win the championship. He won it at 14 for the first time. And then at 15, he wins it again. Anyways, so Stone Cold defeats The Rock for the title. Vince McMahon came out, I believe, and was going to try to be, he claimed earlier in WrestleMania backstage, he was going to be the special guest referee. Because he was the boss. So he was going to put himself as a guest referee to screw Stone Cold. Well, Shawn Michaels, the commissioner at the time, made an appearance at WrestleMania. He came out. He was dressed in a suit. And I believe Shawn was still having some addiction and drug problems. But I'm sure he was clean for WrestleMania. He didn't show up messed up like he did in 2000. Anyways, Shawn says to Vince in the ring, "You're not going to be the ref." And then I think he just says, "You're not the ref. Hit the bricks and get to the back and start walking." So then he brings out, I think Earl Hebner was a ref, and he gets knocked out, I believe. So then Mankind runs down to the ring. He was injured by the Big Show landing on him. And the Big Show had Mankind on his back in the match earlier, and he fell back, and all the Big Show's weight basically crushed Mankind. So I think Mankind actually had some broken ribs. But he came back out injured, running to the ring, and he made the 3 count, 1, 2, 3, and Stone Cold won the WWF Championship. Vince came back out to ringside and tried to screw Stone Cold, but it did not work. I believe Mankind, when he came in the ring, I think Mankind put the mandible claw on Mr. McMahon. So Vince was really upset. He started crying after The Rock lost, and then Stone Cold started pouring beer on him, and then he picked up Vince, stunnered him. Crowd went crazy in Philly, and WrestleMania 15 went off the air. It wasn't the best WrestleMania there's been, but it was pretty entertaining, and it was a decent WrestleMania. If I would grade it, I would give it a, I'd say it was a C. C plus was WrestleMania 15. Hell in the Cell match fucked it up a lot. That WrestleMania would have been way better if they didn't do that stupid finish where Big Boss Man was hanging by a noose. Now I'm going to talk about Backlash, which took place the next month after WrestleMania. On April 25th, 99 was Backlash. Bradshaw, Farouk, and Minion, part of the corporate ministry, defeated the team of The Brood, Gangrel, Edge, and Christian. That was a decent 6-man tag to kick off the pay-per-view. Up next, Al Snow defeated Hardcore Holly for the Hardcore title to win it back. Intercontinental Champion, The Godfather, defeated Goldust. How did The Godfather win the title? Who did he win it from? I believe he beat Road Dogg for the Hardcore title, or for the Intercontinental title. I don't know who the hell he beat. I'm going to look it up. Who The Godfather defeated to become the Intercontinental Champion. I can't find the goddamn Intercontinental history of the title. Here it is. Let's see. So Goldust defeated the Road Dogg. Goldust defeated the Road Dogg the night after WrestleMania 15 to win the Intercontinental title. And then The Godfather defeated Goldust before Backlash. So he was Intercontinental Champion. So this was a rematch. And The Godfather would defeat Goldust to retain the Intercontinental title. And The Godfather would not hold on to the Intercontinental title long at all. I think he had a 1 or 2 month title run. Again, I'll say it again, 1999, there were way too many title changes in both companies, in WCW and WWF. There were way too many fucking title changes. I mean, the tag titles, Intercontinental title, World title, were getting changed hands way too often and way too much. Same thing in WCW. You had the WCW World title changing hands way too much. Up next at Backlash was Mankind defeating the Big Show in a Boiler Room Brawl. And Mankind took a lot of punishment. This match got extreme. It got pretty hardcore. Mankind cut his hand, I believe, on a piece of glass that flew in his hand and probably cut him because he was holding a glass window and he was running at the Big Show and smashed a glass window over the Big Show's head. That was pretty extreme in the Boiler Room Brawl. He smashed a window over the Big Show's head, so I believe he got his hand cut open by a piece of glass. Not shocking because I'm sure glass was flying all over the place, so it cut and went into his hand and cut him. And then Big Show picks up Mankind and body slams him on some wood platforms. They had some type gas shit spraying out of a tube, some gas, whatever it was, smoke or gas sprayed in the Big Show's face out of a tube in the boiler room. And then they had all these goddamn pipes. Was a finish where Big Show, I think, got buried in a whole bunch of metal pipes. And then the Mankind's hand was bleeding a lot. He was putting his hand on the ground. There were blood spots following Mankind to leave the boiler room to win the match. And then he put his hand on the wall before he opened the door, and he went like this and put his hand down, and there was a handprint of blood from Mankind. So the match got extreme and hardcore. And I don't think WWF would have ever got that extreme or hardcore again if it wasn't for them watching ECW, because the Attitude Era had a lot to do with what ECW did. And the Attitude Era was a basic rip-off from what ECW was doing. So things would have never got that hardcore ever in the WWF if it wasn't for ECW and their success and their violence. And also the Attitude Era pushed the envelopes, and they did do some shocking stuff. So they did get more violent. Obviously, WWF in the Attitude Era, WWF definitely was way more violent than it was in 96 and 95 and 4 and all the early 90s. The WWF basically had no attitude, and they were just wrestling. They never would have guys bleed in matches, ever really, except for Hogan on pay-per-views like WrestleMania 7 and WrestleMania 5. So, the Boiler Room Brawl match got extreme, got a little bit out of hand, but I enjoyed it. Up next, Billy Gunn and Road Dogg Jesse James, the New Age Outlaws, defeated Owen Hart and Jeff Jarrett. I think that was before the Boiler Room Brawl. Up next, Triple H defeated X-Pac in a one-on-one match. I think X-Pac injured his neck in this match, or he was just selling it really good because he acted like his neck was really hurting. Main event was Stone Cold Steve Austin defeating The Rock. This was a good match, good main event. Shane McMahon was a special guest referee. And I don't remember the finish, how Stone Cold won, because I don't think Shane would have counted the 3 on The Rock. So another ref must have came down and counted the 3. Anyways, it was a cool finish where The Rock picked up a camera from the cameraman, and he was standing on the table recording Stone Cold with the camera. And then Stone Cold stunnered him while he was holding on to the camera. He stunnered The Rock through the table. That was an awesome spot. And The Rock and Stone Cold always, whenever they had their matches at WrestleMania 15, WrestleMania 15, 17, 19, or Backlash 99, or even in the UK, 2001, Stone Cold and The Rock had a WWF Championship match in the UK on a UK WWF pay-per-view. That was even good. So anytime Stone Cold and The Rock hooked it up in the ring, they were always good matches. If I grade Backlash 99 pay-per-view, I'd give it a C plus or B. I don't know. I'll just say it was a C plus pay-per-view. So this ends my Year in Wrestling 1999 Part 2 video. I'll be back with Part 3 about 1999 by Sunday. I'll do a Part 3. Anyways, hope you enjoyed Part 2 of the Year in Wrestling 1999. Have a good rest of your weekend. Bye for now, everybody.